Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on what time you're watching this. It's your girl Brittany, and I'm doing my 66-day challenge of the Bible, and this is at a glance. And today is book number 6. This is about Romans. The author is Apostle Paul. It was written in 56 A.D. The famous verses in Romans is Romans 10 and 9, Romans 6 and 23. Some important parts about Romans is chapters 1 through 8. Paul explains the foundations for the Christian's faith. This is why the book is quoted so often in salvation messages. Let me get this right. And in chapters 9 through 11, he explains how people can receive a relationship with God. Chapters 12 through 16, Paul explains how to use this information to live a godly life. Let's break down each chapter, shall we? Chapter 1 is about the world is disarray. Chapter 2 is God's judgment is coming on all Jews and Gentiles. Chapter 3, God has made a way to avoid judgment. Faith in Jesus Christ. Chapter 4 is about faith shown through Abraham. Chapter 5 is justification leads to peace with God. Chapter 6 is about sin and death are over. Sin and death are over for Christians. Chapter 7, that with that being said, we are under the law, but rather, chapter 8, we now live alive in the Spirit. Chapter 9, this was God's plan all along. Chapter 10, so go tell everybody. Who do you tell? You tell anybody who's living and breathing. You spread the gospel. Chapter 11, don't wait. And if you have a question about everybody, how can I put this? All right, so as you're reading chapters 1 through 10, you're going to hear how God directed the path for Pastor Paul to spread the word of God. Now, during this time, he was building a church that he never saw or seen or even knew what it was going to look like, and he did to warn people. Then chapter 2 for the judgment. Chapter 3 was the good news and how to avoid the judgment. Then you get to chapter 9 about it was God's plan all along. A lot of people, if you don't read the passages correctly, you will start to believe that you'll think that God's leaving out Israel. But God had a plan for them. Chapter 12, so live like a true Christian. Chapter 13, be submissive and fulfill the law through love. Chapter 14, don't judge each other or cause anyone sin. Chapter 15, follow Jesus, who is both the hope for the Gentiles and Jews. Chapter 16, some greetings, and Paul visits to Rome. Now, as you're reading Romans is a... Man, how can you sum up Romans? Romans is not just about the warning. It's not just about the judgment. It's letting you know that God has a plan for all of us. It's letting you know that no matter where you are in life, that there is a plan and the plan will succeed. The word of God says that my word will not come back void. When you go over Romans and if you go through each chapter the way that it's been broken down to you guys, far as it starts off with the warning, then the judgment, and then how to avoid the judgment. Then it shows you the faith that God promised Abraham and how we receive that as well. Then we are justified, that leads to peace with God. Then sin and death is over for Christians, but under that we are underneath a new law, but now we live underneath the Spirit. Don't worry, God had a plan for us. So now all we have to do is spread the word of God. We have to get his word out there. Don't worry about anybody else or about any other domination or about what anybody else is doing. Your job is just to spread the word of God. Your job is just to live the way that God asks you to live. Then after that, be submissive and fulfill the law through love. So no matter what the law may be, you make sure that even when you know you have to turn the other cheek, try to turn the other cheek with love, because people need it in this world. This world is not all bad as we see, which a lot of things do happen, but this world is good. We do live in a good world. It's just we keep highlighting evil. Don't judge anybody or cause anybody else sin. Follow Jesus because he lives for all of us. And then in chapter 16, he has given you some greetings, something for you to lean on, something that you can follow. And then Paul visit Rome, and then we will get into that later. That is at a glance Romans. the sixth book in the New Testament. The New Testament has 27 books. The Old Testament has 39. Again, there is 66 books in the Bible. And that is my talk for today about the Romans. You guys open up the book, read it. It's only 16 chapters long. It should take about an hour and 30 minutes. Then once you read it, please stop, highlight some favorite phrases. The best way I can say, yellow is something that's touched your heart. Pink is something that you want to discover. Blue is something that is profound, something that you can search, something that you can live on. And green is something that you can share. You guys have a blessed day, have a wonderful night, and have fun on Saturday. Bye.